So I just thought I'll also bring to your attention what we're about to do is first up, we're about to move forward with a session wherein we'll get to hear out more in terms of rising voices with lasting impact. We're about to hear it from the rising voices. The next session will in fact be spearheaded by Ms. Sanjana Sanghi. She's an Indian actress and also a model and a youth champion for UNDP India. So Sanjana will be in conversation with a lot of other amazing youngsters who are also leading different projects for different schools as well. So that's going to be the session taking up. That's going to be happening up next before we move on to the guest of honors address. So there's a bit of a reshuffle. I just thought I'll inform you all. That's the plan for the agenda right now. We'll be having the panel discussion on youth as agents of change for a sustainable future. So that's a topic. I'm going to request you to please stay with us for just a couple of minutes. There you go, that's the topic of discussion coming up next. It's interesting to see how the youngsters will be taking forward and how they would be looking at the entire role around sustainability, but that's the topic coming up next before we invite our guest of honor. And again, for the benefit of the members of the audience, the ones who were not earlier part of the sessions, we'd like to quickly play across an audio visual that captures the essence of the business that has been transformed over the years. So let's do that. Let's play across the video one more time. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's time to get our next session started. As I had informed earlier, this is where we are about to hear it from the rising voices. I believe they are the ones who are looking forward to a lasting impact. There was a time when there was the Darwinian theory, which said survival of the fittest. And then, of course, now we are part of the millennial theory, survival of the fastest. Everything is about fast fashion, everything is being consumed really quick. Ideas need to be implemented really quick. We're not happy with just a pizza coming in 30 minutes. We want our groceries coming in 10 minutes. Everything is becoming really fast. But while we are adapting to a change, while we are adapting ourselves to this change rather, let's also see how the next gen is looking at it. Let's also see how is it that they want to take this message forward? How is it that they want to approach this life forward? So let's do that. And this is where, let me inform you that We have a wonderful and a renowned actress of the Indian film industry, who's also the youth champion for UNDP India, and also the youth advocate for education for Save the Children. So we have with us Sanjana Sanghi, who in fact will be in conversation with some amazing people. We also have, I think we have put up the slide right up there, so we'll be having Neha Jain, who's the project lead for the Climate Ready program in Delhi schools. We'll also be having none other than Aarav Seth, and at the same time we'll also be having Dwishojoyee Banerjee, along with Aashish, Beergi, who's a co-founder and CEO, MASH Project Foundation. So we've got some really amazing people, amazing voices who are about to join us right now, I would say in the next couple of seconds. And if I could please go ahead and invite our speakers on stage. Could I please invite Sanjana Sanghi to please come on stage? Could I once again invite Neha Jain, Aarav Seth, Dwishojoyee Banerjee and Aashish Beergi. Hi there, lovely meeting you.
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the rising voices with lasting impact, the youth of India. Can we also have a youthful round of applause? Can we bring that energy back in the air one more time? And with that, let me quickly hand it over to Sanjana. Over to you then.
Check. Good evening, everyone. I am firstly so delighted to be here. It's always my greatest joy to be back in my home city, which is Delhi. I grew up right here in Modern School, Barakamba Road, and went to Lady Shri Ram College. So this is home ground, and today we are here to celebrate these wonderful young change makers who are at such early nascent stages, so cognizant of the need to work towards building a better future. And I am doing something that I have not done before. I'm usually on the side of being asked questions, but today I decided to be the one asking questions. And I'm also here representing the UNDP, since I happen to be their youth champion for India. So hopefully we're going to have an engaging conversation. I'm going to pick their brains. And you guys please feel free to chip in, ask questions. We'll maybe open the house up later. So yeah, I wanted to get started with Neha. Neha, you have done some incredible work when it comes to this kind of the convergence point between gender equality, climate education and education at large. I wanted to ask you how you think that this dream of education for all can somehow also extend to climate education for all. And what do you think should be done in curriculums in school and colleges so that children are actually ready with the tools to be aware and make change in the future?
Thank you so much for asking this question. Really happy to be asked by you on the other side. So you talked about education for all, and how do we shift from that to climate education for all. And when we talk about climate education for all, I think it's about reaching the last child, regardless of gender, age, geography, ability. And the convergence point, the intersection of gender, climate education has always been very close to my heart. And on the intersection of it, currently I'm working on a project called Climate Ready. It stands for Climate Representation, Education and Action with Delhi Youth. It also blends in with the question of how can we integrate climate curriculum into any educational setups, including schools and colleges. So with Climate Ready, we are trying to integrate climate education and action with Delhi government schools. And it is so incredible to see that students there come from the backgrounds which are, they are first generational learners. They come from low income households. When we talk about childhood, we often associate it with joy, excitement. However, childhood is not that for them. They are shouldered with a lot of responsibility and seen a lot in their lives, not only in terms of climate crisis, but humanitarian crisis as well. But still, these are not the narratives of victims. They are narratives of warriors, and I'm so lucky to be working with these superheroes every day. When I go to school and see their enthusiasm to learn. First time when I went to school and I asked, what is environment? No one responded. I thought, this is the lack of awareness. But I took a step back and thought and then asked, Paryavaran kya hota hai? There were responses. So there are some times when you realize that it's not about big things, it's also about those small nuances and thoughts that we give it a chance, and we keep them at the same pedestal and feel that, we are here to learn something from them and tell them what we know. So I think it's been really empowering journey from them not knowing the word environment to now. It's been an intervention of 6 months where we've established eco clubs, we've done field exposures, we've done a lot of capacity building and leadership training with them. And now they've also been featured at a campaign at UNICEF India lately at International Youth Day, which was a very proud moment for me, because today I not only represent my own voice, but I think I represent the voices of those children, those excited learners, but at the same time who are equally vulnerable to climate crisis. So I think I want to put forward their voices and want you all to join in the movement, take small steps. And talking about inclusion of this entire framework into schools and colleges, I think we are following 4 pillars. Number 1 is holistic learning through the Eco Club model, which is very experiential and actionable. Number 2, involving them into community initiatives. We took them to composting sites, we took them to biodiversity parks, they did plantations, cleanups, and much more. So giving them that experiential learning exposure. Number 3 is building their leadership for them to be able to mobilize even more young people together in their communities, in their neighborhoods, and take their knowledge beyond classrooms. And 4th pillar, and very important, representation of their voices at platforms such as these, and even global level, local level, so that they can realize that how important their voices are and their actions are. And I think with this, I'm sure we'll take some actionables from this conversation as well. And I'm really excited to hear the other speakers and chat with you further.
That's really incredible, Neha. I am envious actually of your vision, because I've been there myself. When you're young and hungry to make change, what's the most beautiful part about that is that you feel like you can make anything happen. And I feel like that innocence is what actually drives the greatest change, because I now will sound like an old person, but I just turned 27 a week ago. And I feel like then experiences kind of make you sit back and wonder, will it happen, will change happen? But where you are right now is precious, so I hope that your energy and drive continues. Which is what actually brings me to Aarav. For everyone's knowledge, Aarav here is all of 15 years of age. And he has already done such incredible work in terms of mobilizing many of his peers and driving all kinds of movements. And Aarav, I wanted to ask you that I remember when I was younger and wanted to fight for the cause of education, which is what I still stand for, which is education for all. Many used to be like, "Aap to itne chote ho, aapko kya pata?" Right? And I'm being as brutally honest as possible, because somehow we take age as a means to take someone more seriously. But you have proven that that's not true. So I wanted to first ask you what you think the biggest hurdle of being this young but this hungry to drive change is.
I'm glad you asked that question, because uh, age was never a problem for me because I turned it into my superpower in a way. Yeah, because my age allowed me to connect with people, my peers, and engage them in these climate activities because conversation about youth involvement has been going on in the climate area for long, and I guess that presented an opportunity for me to build connections with the several youth activists all around the world and action and change makers all around the community, connect with them and take collective action together. So, and regarding the hurdles that have been there, that's really been about my age, but more about the logistical part when it comes to taking action. Because at first, in the initial stages, when I was starting my initiatives by just planting trees every weekend, then I realized that planting trees is not a hard part, maintaining it is the hard part. So then that logistical problem came out, that how will we water these trees, how will we find these sources for water, then I need to come up with a team and so on and so on. So that's how over time I also formed my organization in 2021, We Rise Together Foundation, and from there over time the hurdles that we have overcome and we still face today are experiences that have lessons and would bring like the bring further learning that can help us implement their lessons to the further solutions and the further problems. So that would be my take on that.
I thought so. I thought that you turned it into something positive, which is what you have done. But how do you, and we're asking this because hopefully young change makers in different parts of the country will get access to this conversation, and it's important for them to know that with your own learning process, right? You're still very much in school yourself, and you have all the pressures that every high school student has. So how do you keep your passion alive in a stressful academic environment? Because I'm an artist today, and I remember that when I had to go for shoots, or even when I shot for Rockstar when I was in the 8th grade, it involved support of my professors, my teachers, my peers. So give us a quick glimpse into how you're managing this dual life.
Yeah, sure. For me, it has been easier because I was already good at studies since a young age. So I was able to manage both these things from the start itself. However, for the youth, I guess it is more about the purpose you withhold and the drive that it gives you to just work for the environment, because it is not just about like feeling that I need to do about it. It is also a moral obligation that I think we all have for taking care of our environment, and we need to take time out of our busy schedules for the environment and for the future generations to come.
That's beautiful. That's very inspiring. And because the timer is flashing in front of my eyes, it's very intimidating. I would jump to Dwishojoyee, who, for everyone to know again, there's something very interesting that Dwishojoyee has done, which is called the Paper Bag Project. And it's maybe not the first time someone has thought of that idea. I think there are many people maybe who've tried to do it, but it's the way that she's done it that stands out. And from you, we wanted to know, what do you think young people can do as a first step towards making change, because they struggle with knowing where to start, right? You're someone who's now kick-started their journey, you have a movement that's taken shape, but there are so many who want to make change but don't know how to start, and we wanted you to throw light on that.
Hi Sanjana, firstly. Thank you so much for that question. One of the reasons why I started the soft move and named it so was because I want to nudge people from action talking to really taking the action. Just for context, in the past 50 years, there has been so much buzz around saving the environment and saving the earth, and very importantly so. However, a lot of these policies and what we speak about does not end up manifesting at the grassroots. So that was the reason why I came up with the term the soft move. And one of the ways we are doing it through the paperback project, like you mentioned, via which we are educating the youth on how more important it is to take action which is tangible, so that whatever you do, there's a tangible output that you can see. For example, we all know about the single-use plastic ban across India, right? However, even today, small vendors like vegetable sellers, flower sellers, fruit sellers, these nano enterprises, they continue to use single-use plastic. Not that they don't know about the ban. The reason is it's not financially viable for them, right? So that's where we come in. So we go to different schools and colleges, and we upcycle newspaper, harnessing youth potential, and then we take these kids to vegetable vendors, and they distribute these bags to them. So it also generates a lot of empathy in the young minds to know how important their one step can be and how important it is to make a tangible step, right? So far we have distributed 50,000 plus paperbacks across India, all of them upcycled from newspaper, and put out the message at least 150,000 times that it's so much more important to take action, to do the stuff, than talk about it. Through each bag that a child made, some vendor used and a consumer took home. In fact, I've got one for you today as well. So yeah, that's and as for my advice for youngsters who want to start somewhere, I would say don't listen to Nike. Don't just do it, because when you jump start or kick start, a lot of times what youngsters like me, even I was at that stage at one point in time, what we try to do is alter the output of the problem. What needs to change is the system, why the problem is being created. So I would say go deep, delve deep into the root causes and take a bottom-up approach from there, so as to curate change which is long-lasting and be very persistent, because almost, it's almost always it takes at least a generation to bring about the tide, right? So yeah, that's my advice for youngsters. Thank you.
Lovely. That's very, very logical and practical of you, actually.
Thank you.
Anything that you would like to add?
Sure. Thank you. I am Aashish from MASH, and we've been working with all these fantastic young change makers, and their stories are so inspiring. And we started this initiative called 28 for 28, where we're taking such stories of 28 young people from India to showcase at the COP28, which is happening in Dubai this year. Young people, are one of the most important stakeholders when it comes to the conversations related to climate change. Their generation, their upcoming generations would be the most impacted by the harm that probably current or previous generations have done. So this initiative is targeted to bring such voices, strong voices, and get them across our leaders, our stakeholders who are shaping policies and decisions which is going to impact their lives and their future, their future generations' life. This came through as a partnership with the High Commission of India, High Commission of Canada in India, and Save the Children, which is now known as Bal Raksha Bharat. So together, we at MASH thought about how can we get a platform, and thanks to you, Sanjana, also, where a lot of young people look to people like you who are really making these conversations more and more widespread, right, and aspirational, and also to EDH to give this platform to young voices like these, so that this could go to many, many more people. So just wanted to thank all the stakeholders, and we need more partners, more collaborations to come together to empower young people's voices. My best 2 cents would be to just maybe ask you this question, given you've been also championing the cause of climate education as a UNDP's youth champion, and also as well using the media platform that you have. So what really inspired you to step up? There are so many of actors, actresses, but very few who are really so deeply committed at such a young age. So what's been your inspiration?
Aashish, honestly, for me, this journey, I was just speaking to both our lovely girls here, and much like them, they're in Delhi University right now, as was I. And my journey in education activism began far before I became a mainstream Hindi actor. So it's had, many times actors use their platforms later to drive change, which I respect completely. For me, it was the reverse, where I was doing work on ground and suddenly by virtue of being a Bollywood actor, I suddenly got a platform, and I couldn't be more grateful. But now, as things get busier on that front, this is the stuff that makes me feel the most alive. Even though, for example, a film called Dhak Dhak is releasing in 13 days and my producers are angry with me that why are you doing this, like, I will still make sure to be here because that's how much it matters to me. But more importantly, I am a product um, of good education. I believe that education is not just what happens in classrooms. My moments spent on Lady Shri Ram College's campus or Modern School Barakamba Road are the moments that shaped me and readied me for the world. And I didn't need a fancy education abroad to do that, to become a responsible citizen, to become an aware, compassionate citizen. And I can't emphasize that enough, whether you want to go and become a banker or an artist. I'm an artist today, but every day it helps me in different ways. It gives you entrepreneurial abilities, it gives you sensitivity, teaches you sympathy, empathy. So I want that every child in India receives an education because that is the start to a good life. And which is why my area of focus is very specific. It is education for all. And climate education is a big part of that.
Absolutely.
So that's what brings me here today.
Superb. A big round of applause to Sanjana and all our young people, and especially with your movie coming up, taking out time and coming all the way from Bombay. Thank you so much, Sanjana. Over to you.
So there's about 13 seconds left on this timer, and much like our beloved Karan Johar has taught us, everything must end with a rapid fire round. So here is going to be a quick climate action version of the rapid fire, where I want to ask our three young change makers here, tell us one sustainable practice that you've adopted in your personal life that you think is unique to you and can be adopted by others.
Should I go?
Yes.
So I'm a constant outfit repeater. Like, I do it on purpose. In fact, I've gotten asked by people, like, is that your favorite one? But I deliberately repeat my outfits. So that's something that I've taken up.
Something I wish that actors are given the right to do.
I would say that since I'm also a college-going student, I also go to work. So what I do is use a steel sipper and a metal straw. Wherever I go, I carry that, and I just to imagine that that I am able to reduce trash, reduce thousands of cups and straws that will go to trash by using a simple solution. I think that makes me very happy. Over to Aarav.
Yeah. I actually, on special occasions of my friends or my relatives, I try to give them plants or any other sustainable gift item for them which would be memorable because once you use a gift, the normal gift it just goes away, but a plant remains there forever and you need to take care of it as well. So I'm also giving them a duty too in the form of gift.
That's awesome. I want to be your friend. Please gift me a plant. And the other thing I was wondering that you all could tell me, like I said, as the youth champion for the UNDP, I do get the opportunity to meet global leaders and global change makers, and I often want to transmit the voice of our youth to them. So if there's one message that I could carry over to them from your sides, what would you like for that to be?
I would want to push for localized, intersectional and holistic climate education framework across the country. Please do convey.
To add to that, I would say make more policies which are sustainable and sustainable models so that when you implement something, it's not very difficult for the marginalized communities to adapt to it. So more systems change approach there as well, and models which incorporate localized solutions including community knowledge so that it's not very difficult for them to just make the switch then and there.
Right.
Yeah, my message to them would be that we have made a lot of action plans throughout these years, but we have not implemented them as they were planned to. So because these action plans, without action, they are just daydreams, you know. So I would request them to act on their plans and test out the results and say how much are they measuring up to their expectations.
Points noted.
I'd like to add one thing, that these are not just demands, but also this is coming from a place of youth who are actually working, and this is not just a demand, but we are open to collaborating and working on these actionables to deliver it.
Absolutely, for sure. I think the biggest takeaway from the conversation has been that, actions, just planning for action ideas is just daydreaming, like Aarav said. It's about actually getting down to the ground and doing it, doing the work. And I hope that the years to come kind of symbolize that. And I'm sure that all of us together will kind of make sure that that happens. Yeah. I think I am through. Yes. Also, before we go, Neha is actually going to leave us with a poem that she's put together. So I'm going to hand it over to Neha.
Thank you so much. This is a special piece, and I have a very deep connection with nature, so deep that I got a letter posted from Mother Earth last night that I would want to read out for you. Tick, tick, tick. Can you hear the sound? Tick, tick, tick. Climate's clock is ticking so fast. The crisis is here, it's not the past. The challenge looming vast and dire. Act now for climate to quench the fire. Awareness first we must ignite, for many still in darkest night. To see the signs, to educate, to understand the perils that await this land. Touch the soil, breathe the air. Touch the soil, breathe the air, and you'll know why you must care. Connect with nature and observe. Small steps can definitely conserve. Talk alone would not mend the damage. A call for action must be our pledge. Find innovative solutions that last. Let's heal the scars of Earth's past. Plant a tree or make compost. It all starts with a simple choice. Reduce, refuse, reuse, recycle to heat that inner voice. Speak your mind and hold leaders accountable. Let's collaborate to make the world sustainable. Inclusive representation, voices of every kind. In this climate discourse, let's open our minds. Together we are stronger in this race. Let hope be the light for a brighter place. Let hope be the light for a brighter place. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. And just to end with such a beautiful poem, thank you so much to all our changemakers and Sanjana for joining us and making this very special. And let's keep investing in our young people and have many, many more voices like these changemakers to really create a better world for all of us. Thank you so much.
I was just a little curious to understand. Can you open the floor for questions? Are you all ready to take some questions from the audience? Right? What we can do is I'll have you all take your seats one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, I could see all of you smiling, when all the insights were flowing in from this side of the hall. Let's also open it up for all of you for some questions. Let's try to understand, let's try to gauge their minds and see what really is in store. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? We'll quickly pass the mic to you. Okay, we have a first question coming in right here. Let's quickly pass the mic. Over to you then.
This is the best session I've been hearing from the morning. I'm awestruck with all you kids. Oh my God. My very typical, I'm also a mother and I have a child like at your age. A typical question, how do you merge your career or your future with this passion?
As for me, like sustainability or climate action wasn't something as an extra to my curricula, right? So honestly, it does get difficult at times. There are exams, assignments, there's a lot of stuff. However, for me, it's always when I don't feel like studying, I do this. When I don't feel like doing this, I study. So I was in 10th grade when I started my own organization, and it is through the support of my parents as well as my team members who have been for all students like all of us, high schoolers, college students. So it is the passion which leads us forward, and then obviously there has to be a lot of support.
Great work, all the best.
Thank you so much.
Neha, you want to add to that?
Since your question was on, building green careers and how do we actually find those jobs and connect it to the education that's currently there, I would say that we need to find ways to merge both of them. I'm studying applied psychology and very much involved in climate education and sustainability, and how I bridge both of them is, it gives me a deeper hindsight into the attitude shift and the behavioral angle. I think psychology is very much connected to the sphere because it helps me to go beyond the surface level and find out the ways to bring a behavior shift. And I'm sure that even while following this career trajectory, I'll be able to infuse both and make it sustainable for myself as well.
And for regarding the climate careers, and it is not about just climate, I also want to touch upon other major social issues existing in the country as well. So I guess it could only be solved using entrepreneurship, and my main aim or career you can say would be to become an entrepreneur, so that I could at least contribute to the society, because it is most of the time it is the market that is actually bringing out innovations and actually changing the world.
And ma'am, just to add to that, if you look at in the last few years, ESG, sustainability, the brands are going so sustainable. I'm sure a lot of conversations are happening on. So there is so much sector that is like growing when it comes to environment related services, right? So I'm sure, if your kid is interested in this career, there's plethora of opportunities where you can merge doing good and yet make it very, very prosperous as well.
All right, so we have room for 3 more questions. I see the gentleman with the mic, and then we got 2 more questions, one from here. So we'll take your question first.
My question about how the students' cores are ready for the sustainable alliances. I'm sharing about, this is my second SDG meeting, and first SDG meeting I meet such kind of speakers, which is the European-based NGO, is a Shannon, and where we organize, because make sure we organize where we develop talent actually on SDG. So we invited junior ambassadors from different university and colleges, and Bangalore we done an event. I want to share the one, what I bring it. Last year when I read about this, part of it, I have invested 15 lakhs rupees and developed the product, which is motivated my son of 9 years actually. And so I want to know technology IO devices, where I told them, will you able to change your behaviors to operate the air conditioners, heater, which consumes a lot of electricity? Believe me, actually, after 10 months of efforts, we developed a device which cost just 1,000 rupees, which is finally, and he adopted. The device told that, okay, now I'm using the water at the temperature of the 45 degree. Earlier, I'm just open up the technology, So how the students' code are ready to, promote the innovation and technology, which is saving the energy. Same time also they aware about the new age of devices development, because in our times computer was the new innovation which we have experienced, but nowadays I wish that maybe student will experience about the day-to-day life actually, the new innovation which is the part of our future actually, so how the systems can students core are ready and how they take the leadership in their community actually and
So
connect with the
if I summarize, sir, you're saying how can students, young people can also take, learn about innovations which leads to more environment-friendly solutions, right? And how can we build an ecosystem around that? Any change makers or Sanjana, you want to add something to that? Or change makers, young change makers, you want to start with that? Building an ecosystem around innovation, promoting innovation, something what you said also, Aarav, about entrepreneurship.
This is exactly what we were discussing yesterday as well with Neha. We were on the CEW panel. And one of the approach that we, all of us after discussing, thought could be something beneficial was integrating climate not as a separate subject in the education curriculum, but integrating it with the economics, because climate does have a very important impact on the finance of everything or on the biology. So instead of having this as a separate chapter or as a separate subject even, we should be integrating it with every subject. So that a person who's maybe like you were speaking about technological innovation, right? So maybe a person who is into engineering, they know the impact of the models that they create and how that can be sustainable. So education has to incorporate climate in each and every subject, and only then we can come up with wholesome solutions. So at the cost of solving something, we do not dissolve some other problem. So that's my take.
Also, just to add, there are a lot of incubators, accelerators. In fact, Sanjana, if you want to touch upon Youth Collab, is a great place for young people to also get connected with more and more innovators, right? The UNDP's initiative. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, to answer Sir's question, it's also that, like we spoke about the fact that it has to be integrated into whatever stage of life you're in. So for college students and for students at large, it has to see integration in every subject, because I see a intersection between psychology and climate education in a big way, as well as economics. At the Youth Collab, for example, it is an entire program that is based on, it's basically an accelerator program for sustainable startups, for them to get a springboard into actually launching themselves in the way that they need to into the real marketplace. And that's where the UNDP and I have been trying to select them, see that we are selecting a group of the ones that form for a very diverse overall basket, right? Someone who focuses on agriculture, someone who focuses on solar energy and different such fields. So I feel like for entrepreneurs, springboard programs like the Youth Collab really do help, and I've seen that in front of my eyes. So
Fantastic. Even Atal Innovation Missions are great places. There's so much that's happening, right? Anybody else wants to add something, or should we take more questions?
In fact, the mission life that has been launched recently,
Yes.
even that has a lot of potential for the youth to come in and spaces for the youth to come in. So even that is really helpful.
Lifestyle for environment.
What I see the commitment corporate leaders here, actually, they told that we want any SDG product is 5% expensive. That is part of our investment. I wish that the student who has the, kids have a major role to, purchasing economy, So whether we student leaders, we can aware your school that you select the products by purchased by your mom, your parents. Make sure there is a sustainable, something. So that's somewhere you can also contribute to the economy of
Absolutely. More and more demand, automatically prices will come down. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So first of all, I just wanted to say I'm so impressed, inspired. I don't know the words, but yeah, God bless you for whatever you have thought about your missions. And actually, we work with less privileged children. So rather than a question, it's a request that are you people able to take out time to come and educate them about climate change, about environment, about pollution. That would be really nice, because you can't even imagine, being privileged children, you can't imagine that people in our slums, how they're living, and their knowledge level is zero, if I can say maybe less than zero.
Ma'am, can you just very briefly tell about your work, where these are, maybe because so many people in the audience can also connect with you in the break. So you never know who's in the room also.
Sure.
So if you can just very briefly tell about your work and where you're based.
Yeah, so we work out of Gurgaon and Delhi.
Okay.
And we have 7 slum areas where we go and we teach the less privileged children. Plus, out of these 3 slum areas, we have adopted.
Okay.
Where any bedridden patient or with a terminal disease